The next part is the P to PC balance. And he calls it a balance specifically because that's exactly what it is. And we'll go, so the best way, and this is definitely the best way to explain the P to PC balance is really with that, that tale of the golden egg and goose.
Well, and the P stands for production.
Yes.
The PC stands for production capability.
Yes.
And so when we say P/PC, that's what we're talking about. But yeah, go ahead and give them that story of the golden egg and the goose, telling them which one is production. And
yes, because I know for the first time I read that, I'm like, PC, like production capability. What does that even mean?
Yeah, you got to read it a couple times.
You have to pay attention.
Yeah.
And I think, and even like I read this chapter, the last time I read this book, and I kind of really skimmed over this whole section because I was like, what is he even talking about? You know what I mean?
And we have a tendency when we read something and we don't understand it, just to go,
keep going.
It's not that important.
Yeah.
Which actually, it is the most important because that's about the rest of the chapter.
Right.
So
and I was that same feeling was coming back. And obviously because of this, I'm like, I push myself and I'm like, I gotta really understand this because I'm about to explain it without the book in front of me.
Yeah. And that's the pressure with doing it interdependently.
Right.
Is not having it in front of you, which we don't right now. And you're like, okay, I got to be ready to talk about this with my friend and not sound like a total idiot. Yep. I want to be able to discuss this and have that in mind. And that's where the reading to remember becomes so important.
Right.
So,
and pulling your own weight and stuff.
Yes.
But so the goose and the golden egg. So he equates the golden egg to the production.
Yes.
Or the product. And then the goose to the production capability. And, of course, the story with that is that the farmer, he goes to collect the eggs one day and there's a golden egg. And he finds out it's literally like just pure gold. And so then every day now the goose is laying another golden egg. And so every day he keeps getting another golden egg. Well, it gets to the point where now he doesn't want just one a day. He wants them all right now.
Yeah.
And so he decides to kill the goose in order to get the eggs. And turns out,
there's no
golden eggs there.
Right.
And so now he has literally killed the one thing that was producing that value. He killed the actual thing that was producing the value.
Right.
And so that's what he's talking about with production capability, the P to PC balance.
Yeah.
Is because whatever the golden egg is, whether that's, as we were talking about even before this podcast, whether we're talking about that's a national championship for a college football team.
Football conversation here.
Whether that's a certain amount of money that you want to make in a year.
Right.
Whether that's a certain job opportunity that you want, or whether that's even just a good relationship or something you want out of a relationship with someone else. The golden egg is important, but you cannot disregard what produces the golden egg.
Right.
And that's what he's getting at with this. And it really applies to those three things that he mentions. There's three assets that is applicable to this relationship. And the first one is that it's relational or or human. That might actually be the last one. And then financial.
Yes.
And then emotional. Is it emotional? I think the first one was emotional.
Yes, I think the first one was emotional. I think the last one was relational because I remember him giving the finances in the middle and using a husband and wife illustration for the relational, because he moves through all three of these different assets, which are huge areas in our life to all of us, no matter what job you have, if you even have a job, all of those are very, very connected to everything that everyone does and lives through. So it's very easy to understand. So if you don't understand the whole golden egg and golden goose, because even that took me a little while. Had you heard of that before reading this?
I don't think so. No, I don't think I really heard it at least that explicitly stated like that. In anything else besides this book.
I hadn't either, and so that stumped me. So I had to go back and look at that a little while.
Right.
One illustration he gave that actually made a little bit more sense to me, just to help anyone out there who's like golden egg and golden goose. When we talk about this PC balance, is he talks about a man who works on a machine. And he doesn't even say what the machine produces, if I'm remembering that correctly. Doesn't even give what the machine's producing. Yeah. And so the machine itself, that could represent even our bodies in real life. So it could represent, just like that golden egg represents whatever that production, whatever you want out of that production capability may be. That's it. So he talks about this man who's working on this machine, and this machine just pumps out whatever it's producing in it for years. It just goes and goes and goes and goes. Right. And so this company that he does, this unnamed company in this book, makes a lot of money, and so their profits go through the roof. And so the guy, retires and he's praised and all that. And then someone else comes in, and because this machine has been worked, but none of the assets or relationship to the machine have been taken care of. It crashes, it dies. They spend a lot of money trying to fix it because the production capability has been neglected. That relationship, his assets have been neglected for so long that it's pretty much become worthless. Right.
It's like running your car too hard and you're not changing the oil. You're not changing the brake pads.
Right.
And then it might save you money. But eventually your car's going to break down and you're going to have some serious issues.
Right.
And actually, while you were talking, I remembered now the three assets. Physical was the first one. And then financial was the second one. And the last one was human, which is relationships.
The last one was human relationships. Yeah. Okay. Clearly, I did not remember them either. So it's okay.
It's all right. The more we talk about this, like I said, starts coming back. To your memory. It starts coming back. And that analogy, that story specifically, that one was the one where it really clicked for me as well. Mm-hmm. That relationship, and I actually thought about this, and I mentioned it to you the other day. That this other analogy, of this relationship came to my head, and that was in the college football world, right? And so, of course, I'm an Ohio State fan.
Ohio State, right? Yes.
I like Ohio State. You like FSU.
I am a Florida State fan. Yes.
And
not Florida State University.
Yes.
Okay.
And
I did not attend there. You did not attend Ohio State, but
nope.
Huge fans. But, anyway.
Yep. So it's funny that as I was reading this, that this idea came to me, of this relationship, right? So, for example, Urban Meyer was a head coach at Ohio State for a few years. He came on and he did a lot to help, progress the football team forward, right?
Yes.
With good recruiting, good coaching, right? Won a national championship in 2014. Golden egg, right? And then also, but I think the biggest thing as regarding to production and production capability is that he's not the head coach anymore. He left, and now we have a new head coach, but he left it in such good shape that we're continuing on at the same level that we were when he was head coach.
Yes.
And that would not have happened if he did not take care of the product capability, if he did not take care of the team and take care of it in a way that he could leave it and it would still be able to give the same high output. Right, year after year.
Yes.
And I don't know as much about the story with FSU, but I know a little bit. But that contrast actually stuck in my mind, especially thinking about you because I know that you're a Florida State fan.
Yes, the contrast there. Everyone loves the victory stories, but I think it's in the defeats we really learn the lessons and really see.
Right.
The destruction that can come from this PC balance being off in our life. And again, the beauty about this book and this principle of production and production capability is it applies to all areas. We see it in college football. We see it in, work and an organization, which he specifically talks about organization, which we'll get to. But with Florida State, a couple years back, Jimbo Fisher was the head coach. And in 2013, they won a national championship, which was a high for them. Florida State for like 36 seasons, I believe. I could be wrong on the number, but for 36 seasons, went to a bowl game.
Right.
And I'm not saying they won 36 years straight, but they went to a bowl game, which was the longest streak in NCAA Division I football, And so things were really working well. And it only really took one season for Jimbo Fisher, in my opinion, for his attention to move. He may not say the story this way, but for his attention to move to where he went, which was Texas A&M. And so even in that 1 year, and it could have been a couple years leading up, but really you see out in the public in 1 year's time, he stopped focusing on those relationships, on that production capability, and left the organization in shambles.
Right.
And so now we've
Right.
had Willie Taggart, and now he's gone, and now there's a guy from Memphis come in hoping to do something good with the team and get back to that relationship building, that production capability, and get back to producing what they were producing before all of that took place.
Yeah, and when it comes down to it, like, he got the golden egg,
Right.
but he did not care for the actual production capability. He did not care for the organization.
Yes.
In being able to still be able to produce after he's gone.
Yes.